What's up, Bandecdotes? Today we're back with our second official episode of the Bandecdotes podcast, Season 2. Today we're going to be answering a question together that's been buzzing around my brain. Do Canadian bands sound Canadian?
I moved here from Canada and they think I'm slow, eh?
Grab a poutine, some all-dressed chips, a bag of milk. We're going to rank a bunch of top-selling Canadian artists by how Canadian they sound and whether or not we actually think they're any good. I'm excited to get into this. What do you think?
I'm stoked, especially this is Canadian stuff. This is our blood. This is what we grew up with. This is what you were like forced to listen to on the radio on maybe a drive to work or something like that. Like this is stuff that buzzes in your brain, and then I can only imagine how many of these bands that like maybe even Americans have never even heard before.
So the list that we've compiled here, we've avoided, a bunch of awesome hardcore bands and stuff like that. Not because we don't want to talk about them, because I don't think they really fit what we're trying to do on this list. I want to get down to bands that sound Canadian. And I'm really hoping that by the end I can convince everyone what that means. And even myself, because I'm not 100% sure what that means. But we're going to get into it. We're recording this episode on Good Friday, so go ahead and follow us on Instagram like the wise men you are.
Nice.
Yeah, crucify that like button.
I don't think you could say that. So hit that notification bell so you can keep following us for all the updates we'll be doing. We'll be dropping a genuine reaction coming this Monday. We'll be doing that more regularly, kind of giving more honest reactions. And and then we'll be doing alternating episodes every Wednesday. We'll have kind of I think we can give the name away. We're calling it the Encore episode, where you can kind of just catch up with different kind of reviews. It's kind of outside of the Ontario hardcore scene. So, we're super excited about it. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, that show's going to be essentially anything that doesn't really fit the format of going over local news and sort of the main topic. Anything we feel wasn't going to fit into that niche. Anything we felt like, people might still want to hear, we're going to throw into those episodes as well. So we're going to keep as much content going as possible and keep the channel as active as possible. New reactions every Monday. And yeah, thank you so much for checking this out. Let's jump right into this. If you guys want to be on the show, if you have a topic that we should cover, if you want us to react to your music, you can get in touch with us on our socials. You can leave a comment on the YouTube channel. You can even come up to us at a show. Just please do not approach me too quickly because I am a little baby and I will frighten easily. Perfect Limbs has released an absolute banger called Dead House. You can see our genuine first reaction to this song on Monday. I probably just spoiled what we thought, but go check it out anyways and let us know what you thought of their first release.
Next we have Dear God. I don't know how to say this properly.
Copiapo. I don't actually know. Did you check the song out at all?
Yes, I did actually. I checked out all these songs. Dear God. I didn't check out Weaponize This when we were talking about it last episode, but I did go back and checked out that tune. This band is so interesting. Dear God. I've seen them live. They played with Comeback Kid. They have like a punk band live. But when you jam these tunes, it kind of sounds like something you'd hear out of like a Matrix soundtrack. It's pretty cool. It's really interesting. It's got this, distorted beat behind it. And then, Claremont the second comes in with the second verse and kind of chops it up really quick. And I think his name is Robert. He's got such a cool delivery. There's something about it that makes me feel like there's this 90s vibe. I don't know. It feels very throwback. Did you get that at all?
Yeah, no, I've been following Dear God since the same show with Comeback Kid. And I said the last time we talked about him that he reminded me of NASCAR Aloe. And this is sort of in the same lane. His flow is really, really consistent over the whole track. It, doesn't really let up. He keeps the same sort of flow going the whole time. And it's really, really memorable. I really like it. The chunk is really, or the bass is really, really chunky and like digitalized, like you were saying. Yeah, and also Claremont the Second is a rapper from Toronto who's been releasing for quite some time. He's one of the better guys in Toronto right now, I'd say. He has really animated flows. At times reminds me of someone like Anime and maybe even Ski Mask the Slump God a little bit. He has really great delivery. So if you guys are into rap at all, I would really recommend checking out Claremont the Second as well.
The next tune that we have up is Pro Sector. Grim Till Dark. Did you check out this tune?
Yeah, yo, this song, it rips. This is a ferocious track. The production's absolutely incredible on this too. Yeah, if you are a fan of big sounding death metal, this is an absolute no-brainer. And it actually really reminds me of like specifically Oceano.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I was getting what was it? There's similar like Suffocate. You remember that band?
Yeah.
Similar vibes, like that kind of deathcore from that same era. Oceano. Yeah, no. I now that you mention it, that's the missing piece that maybe I was missing.
I also like I think like a little bit halfway through the song where everything stops and you just get that like really wet sounding bass. It's, oh my god, I love it. It's so I love when bass is like super slinky. And yeah, this is a really cool song. I'm definitely gonna keep an eye on these guys. And
cool. Force of Will was this next tune that we had up. They just put out a track, 731 or 731. What did you think of it?
I thought this was a really strong mix of core. It actually reminded me of Despised Icon, like a lot, especially with the mix of like really aggressive lows and then that really like shouty hardcore yell that they do. When it first started, this was my first time ever hearing them. And when it first started, I was like, oh, this is going to be like that Metallica style hardcore band. And then it immediately went into death metal. And it was like, I felt like I couldn't really tell which element I was going to get next. It was like surprising in a really good way. This band's really cool. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on them.
I love that you mentioned Metallica core because I got that exact same thought, especially after you mentioned it last episode. Metallica core right at the beginning, and I felt the same way. And we were going, oh, we're getting lots more double kicks. I thought this was going to be a hardcore band and all these growls and lows. I love this. Yeah, I felt like the same way. It was also very surprising in a matter that I didn't expect.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. They're super heavy. They're definitely worth keeping an eye on. If you're a fan of like just again, a Despised Icon and like that old like deathcore band that knows to throw in, like Despised Icon was so good with like being a 90% death metal song and then just having like a super memorable two-step in it or something like that. I can't think of names off the top of my head right now, but I haven't listened
Elijah maybe.
No, so I mean Despised Icon songs.
Oh,
but
cool,
no, but they remind me of Elijah a little bit as well. Yeah, is it Elijah? I always pronounce it like Elsia or something.
Oh, maybe it's Elsia. I always thought it was Elijah.
I think that was like a great mystery back then.
Oh, and who knows?
If you
comment down below,
if you were in that band, let us know what your name was. Bar Down released 2 songs. Release, I guess. It's called Preying on Me to Fail and 20 Below were the 2 tracks. These were the only ones I didn't get to check out myself personally. What'd you think?
Oh, yeah. So Bar Down, first of all, I want to give an actual shout outs to this band. They've been around the block. They've been playing shows. It's a brother band. We got Thomas and Mackay Whitliff, both in that band, guitarist and vocalist. So I guess they've slowed down a little bit because Thomas actually had a baby himself, so I can totally relate to that. Bar Down, they're like from Chatham, like the Chemical Valley. This band is funny. I respect them. They kind of are tongue-in-cheek. They know what they are. It's kind of like self-aware beatdown, I guess you can call it. There's some other bands like out there like Street Soldier that kind of lean into the fact that like, this is kind of like fun, angry music, right? Let's kind of play with it a bit. And I've seen them live several times. I think they're playing a show really soon. Yeah, love this band. And these 2 specifically that I listened to were just, again, super aggressive. I like that they had the 2 vocals. Like, I know, I think Mackay also did some vocals himself. Aiden also plays in this band. There's so many people that I give shout outs. I think Aiden is related to the old guitarist and singer, Peter Cashman. So like there was always this like blend. We always used to cross paths anytime that used to play shows. They just put out these brand new tunes after being like, I think that EP has been out since like 2017. I might be wrong. It's been a long time since they put out some new music. So it's really exciting to see that they were putting new music and it's kind of getting the engine back going again.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to check it after the show then. I like me some classic beatdown. So the boys in Cruel Intent have released a new song called Obliterate. It's absolutely as heavy as it sounds. It's got a bunch of deathy leads in it. It's very, very militant, very slammy. What do you think?
This song, you know, funny you said when we were talking about Pro Sector about the production value. I also thought I thought that was great there, but also Cruel Intent had some really good production value. And last episode you said I don't remember bands being so good around this area, and I'll do you one better. I don't remember production being so good in the area. There's so much music being made and it's so well done. This song was really cool. This did some interesting takes and turns. I like that it was like different tempos. Bass comes in once in a while. It kind of kicks it in after that big chunky part. You know, the vocals reminded me of I can't put my finger on it, but like they were very growly and deeply. Actually, you know what? It was Big Chocolate. I don't know if that's a big throwback. I don't even know if Big Chocolate makes music anymore, but they were like these big, deep, growly vocals. And yeah, Cruel Intent. That's a band that you got to keep your eyes on.
Yeah, no. I thought the song was super duper heavy. It's one of those long songs. So I mean, no disrespect to the first half of the song when I say this, but I think anyone who listens to like long metal songs will understand what I'm about to say. This song is worth sticking around for, like, to getting to the second half of this song. It doesn't just stay like tremolo riffs the whole time. It gets like to that almost like Lorna Shore level of like just massiveness by the end, where like things just get totally like abysmal. And again, without the production value that's been going on lately, it would be really hard to get, you know, the really truly like giant effect that you get from a track like that. It's massive by the end.
Yeah, the end result actually pays off really well. And I know what you mean, and there's no disrespect. Deathcore songs are getting long nowadays, and it kind of brings me back to old Whitechapel, where, you know, it starts off really heavy, and then by the end of it, they're saying vows and stuff, and it's getting really, and even the new stuff with the Valley, like, you know, where the cleans kick in halfway through the song. That's just not to say that Cruel Intent does that, but like deathcore songs are getting this way, and it's glad to see that there's some locals who are catching on and, you know, being able to like, let's put our hat in this race and fucking let's do this.
Yeah, no, they don't sound like a band that is just getting started, or they sound like a band that when you make music that sounds that big, it's like hard to even picture you playing it at like Warehouse. You know what I mean? Like compared to like, you know, like a big like arena or something, because it's just such an enormous sound that they bring. So it's really cool. They're definitely punching above their weight right now. I'm hoping for big things for them.
All right, yeah, so this is something that you've been really excited to talk about, Canadian bands. And you know what? They need some more praise, because I don't think the southern friends of ours in the States necessarily know of a handful of these bands, and we've created a whole sort of, I don't know, what is this called? A Venn diagram? No, that's not that. What is this?
I think the unofficial name that I'm giving you right now is a T-graph.
A T-graph. Okay, we can roll with that. So, do you want to explain how this is going to work, this segment?
So we have a ranking system here that is going to be bands that sound the most Canadian to bands that sound the least Canadian. And then from left to right, we have whether they're good or whether they're bad. Now, what does it mean to sound Canadian? I don't really know how to answer fully, but I think through the list of bands we have, I think the picture will become clearer as we go.
Yeah, I think with that said, we can jump into our first band, Billy Talent.
Yes. No, this is Billy Talent is the quintessential Canadian sounding band to me. I can't explain it. They are like polite punk. There's something so truly Canadian about Billy Talent. They are so Canadian sounding, and I think it has a lot to do with the way Ben chooses to sing, and even more so the way Ian Dessau chooses to sing. There's just something very distinctly Canadian sounding about Billy Talent's sound.
I have to agree with you. I do think they're a very Canadian sounding band. I think they're genuinely good. What do you think?
I think they're, yeah, you know what? I think, well, okay. Let me take a look at the list before we start placing them too high on the good list. I would throw them right in the middle of good and bad, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think we can put this right up here in the section where it is Canadian, but right in the middle of being good and bad, but they are the most Canadian. I mean, maybe not. We'll leave it up there. They're pretty Canadian.
They're very Canadian. Very Canadian.
Our Lady Peace.
Yeah, I think that they're another band that just vocally, I hear a voice like that, doing that, like, voice, and I immediately know, oh, that's Canadian. That's a Canadian band right there. The, like,
all life is waiting for you.
Like, that shit, that's Canadian singing.
But Our Lady Peace is another very Canadian sounding band.
The vocal thing's going to come up a lot.
I'm gonna have to put them more closer to the bad side. I don't love their stuff. That one song, Star Scream, is absolutely annoying. There's this one song, I think it's got like jingle bells in the background, and it's so distracting. It's like it's like so bad.
They're not a horrible band, I don't think, but they're definitely not on the good side of things. Very Canadian. I think maybe just shifted little bit more. Give them they're a little worse than that. I think that's a good placement for the boys in Our Lady Peace. Certain bands are going to sound Canadian because of their vocals, and it's not going to be their fault. And Simple Plan is definitely a victim of the French-Canadian accent. What do you think of Simple Plan as a pop-punk band?
You know what? I would have, I wasn't a big fan of them when I was that age. I think I liked them at first, and then I think I heard someone say, like, they're lame, and I think I fell into the trope of, like, oh, like, I can't like this band anymore. I have seen them live. You know what? I'll tell you this. I got left at a Warped Tour once, and I was by myself, and I ended up in a real big fish mosh pit, and I was absolutely miserable, and they kept playing this one song over and over again, and I was like, what is going on? And then Simple Plan came on, and I was like, you know what? This band is putting on a pretty good performance.
In comparison to Real Big Fish.
So, like, honestly, I don't know how I actually feel about this band anymore. I don't know if they're good. I don't know if they're bad. If you told me that they were bad, I would believe it, because maybe I've fallen into I don't know what it is. They are definitely Canadian.
Oh,
I can't tell you if they're good or bad. I can't tell you. What do you tell me? Tell me.
I guess growing up for me, Simple Plan always felt like the pop punk band that, like, I even as like a kid, like, I heard, like, I'm a dick, I'm addicted to you, and I just I just immediately like identified it as just like super corny even as a kid. So I think what you have is what psychiatrists and psychologists call Stockholm syndrome. And Simple Plan is actually, in my opinion, not a very good band. I'm sure they had like a song or two I kind of liked as a kid, but in comparison to some of the other pop punk bands and even some of the bands that'll be on this list who are in the same genre as them, one in particular, they always seemed like the kind of cheesy version of other pop punk bands at the time that were around.
They were like 30 and they were like, I'm just a kid. We're like, what the? No, you're not.
I'm just a kid and
you're
life
married.
is a nightmare.
You have 4 children.
Yeah, they're pretty bad. I'd say they're a little bit better than Our Lady Peace.
Cool.
I'd say they're about on this. Yeah, I think they're pretty high up there on the Canadian level too. Theater Kid Core band Mariana's Trench.
I absolutely hate this band.
No. Oh. Leave it spelled like that. It's funny. Mariana's Trench is so funny.
I've never been into this band. I always thought that they were like a teen heartthrob band. I can't remember the vocalist's name. Mariana, probably. I don't know his name. They're still high on the Canadian list, but they're not as Canadian as Simple Plan or nearly as Billy Talent. I always thought that they were kind of like this, like, all-time low rip-off band that somehow made it successful. All these people love this band. All these girls love this band. Mm-hmm. I hate this band.
I remember distinctly being at, like, some sort of festival, not a music festival, but I think it was a music festival last night. I was having a really bad time. Like, I just didn't like the environment. I just didn't like anything about it. And then Mariana's Trench started playing, and I was like, wow, these guys are putting on a really, really good performance. And, like, it, like, turned the, like, festival around for me, and I'm not kidding, ever since that moment, I've been like, I think that band's not bad, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I genuinely, now, as far as the Canadian to not Canadian thing, I would put them, like, right on the border. Like, I forgot they were Canadian until I started making this list, quite frankly. So that once I, remembered they were Canadian, it started to become more apparent to me. But I think that you could see them as any other sort of like Panic at the Disco sort of rip-off band, and not think too much about the Canadian aspect of them necessarily. Once you understand that they're Canadian, I think the theater kid elements of their music hide the cheesy Canadian aspects of their music. God, how do you even introduce these guys? You know what? It's 3 Days Grace, gang. Y'all remember 3 Days Grace? Y'all remember the animal I have become?
I always thought this band was pretty lame. However, I always thought that they were not really a very Canadian sounding band. I never thought that, for the longest time, I actually thought that they were an American band.
You know how, like, for a while, like back when we were kids, like, you could really tell when a show was Canadian?
Oh, yeah.
And, like,
yeah.
it was, like, this unexplainable quality thing. 3 Days Grace felt like the edgy rock band that you could, like, tell was Canadian, but not necessarily sonically. It was just, like it was, like, they're, like, our best attempt at, like, an edgy rock band. And, like, people, like, I don't know if people to this day still have, like, fond memories of, like the song I Hate Everything, or, like, man, every single one of their songs just, like, reeks of this, like, really, like, self-pretentious, like, anthemic, like, all of their songs sound like the type of song that, like, you could make, like, a music video where, like, the singer's into school, and he's, like, teaching you the message of the song. Like, it's so annoying. I hate that type of shit.
So we'll kind of maybe over down here.
Wouldn't it be crazy if, like, one of the dudes from 3 Days Grace was a fan of the podcast? He's like, fuck. Some of the guitar work's cool. I'll give them that. Some of the guitar work's alright. You know what? Slide him over to the left slightly. Give him a little, just a little nudge. Give him a little nudge for guitar. I forgot about the guitar work, guys. I didn't think about it. It's fun.
This band is, well, I guess this font doesn't have numbers involved.
That's good. We're learning as we go, people. So
Sum 41. I love this band. This is part of the reason I actually got into like heavy music. I love this band. They do sound very Canadian though. They are the Canadian version of Blink-182. There's no doubt about it. There's no arguing about it. Their drummer, Steve-O 40-something, some fucking 42 or 39. He's a real estate agent in California now. Like he doesn't play music at all, and he'll sell you a house now. So like they have a weird legacy. I think they're pretty good. I'm gonna have to put them. I still go back and listen to those records.
I would honestly say you can put Sum 41 at the top of sounding Canadian, but also fully on the good side. I think that they're a criminally underrated band despite how popular they are. I think Does This Look Infected is a crazy good record. I think Chuck is a crazy good record. They basically got me into like thrash metal almost in a way without me really realizing it. So future topic of a video I plan on working on, Greg Norrie's band Treble Charger. You know what? They don't sound Canadian. In my opinion.
Don't think so?
Do you? Okay. I don't really think so. I guess I don't know too much of their music. American Psycho,
yeah, that was the big song by him. He was the guy that ran Disband, or at least the second version of Disband after it came on. Much Music is a whole thing that you said you were going to talk about.
Yeah.
We won't get into it right now. But Treble Charger, I've always thought that he had that like Southern Canadian twang to it. That Southern people, they're going my ways now. 100 Million video had Avril Lavigne swollen members in it, and the guys from Sum 41. So it was just like this Canadian like parfait that just had so much of it, and I loved it. However, listening back on this band, I was not a really big fan of this band. If I were to put it anywhere on this thing, I would probably put it over here.
Yeah,
actually, hold on. That's a little harsh. We're not gonna. Probably about Here.
Okay. I don't like Greg Norrie because of the nightmares he released on us with the show Disband, both sonically and just the evil human beings he ended up giving a platform. But hey, I guess he didn't mean to do that necessarily.
I think that they're a little bit Canadian sounding, but not nearly as Canadian sounding as maybe Sum 41, Simple Plan, Our Lady Peace, or Billy Talent.
All right, so now let's get into Canadian Incarnate, the Bare Naked Ladies.
I'm not going to lie to you. What is it? That one song, 1 Week by them, has been like. I learned. I learned
on
it.
drums.
No. I learned it for karaoke because it's like a huge fuck you kind of song because it's a huge rap, and if you can pull it off, it's stupid.
It's the rap god of the 90s.
Yeah, dude, it's the rap god, and you can be like, people will be like, okay, like, all right, he knows the song, so I've learned it. I haven't performed it at a karaoke night yet.
This is the what you're doing is like the knowing the Thriller dance for Canadians. It's like being able to bust out the fast part, the Bare Naked Ladies 1 Week song.
I don't think they're that good. They had the. I would probably put them. I would put them right there on our T scale. I think we called it.
Oh my god! Chickadee China, the Chinese chicken. Is that racist? I don't even. That's such a weird fucking song. Holy shit! And it's like a boomer anthem. You know what I mean? I want to play it at my funeral. They're super Canadian, right beside Simple Plan in terms of like super Canadian, and yeah, you can throw them. You know what? They're bad, but like it's not like I don't think they were trying to impress people like us. So
sure,
it's hard to hate them too much for it. So like they're. Yeah, that's fine. I think that's a good place for the Bare Naked Ladies. Next up, we have hipster core band Arcade Fire. I gotta be honest with you, Arcade Fire is one of those bands that I always felt like I should like and just could never get into.
They don't do the Canadian Southern thing. If you actually told me that they were American, I could believe it.
Yeah, I didn't know that they were Canadian when we were making the list. I just saw them on there, and then it just sort of like jogged in my brain that they were Canadian, but they definitely don't sound Canadian to me. Let's put them in the middle, because I feel like I just don't have enough of an opinion to... I'd put them dead in the center, right there. Nice aesthetic. Oh, beautiful. The next artist is Prozzak. I loved Prozzak growing up.
So, yeah, this is absolutely... I loved this band growing up. I don't know if I've actually gone back and listened to these songs, but they were really impressionable as a cartoon band. I loved the gorillas. I loved this concept of this band that exists in this animated world. Frankly, I think there needs to be more bands like Gorillas and Prozzak. Yeah, the Moffets. I remember them. They started... I think they were young when they got popular, and then got a little bit older with some like the 90s boy band kind of craze. That's all I probably could tell you about them. I don't really know much about them. I don't remember them being good. I do remember them sounding Canadian. What do you think about them?
They were like the Canadian Hanson, right? Like it was brothers.
It was
brothers, like the guys from Hanson. They all had like the long like 90s hair. I'm trying to remember what like their big song was. Okay, maybe Moffat isn't. They are brothers, but I don't know. I think I like, you know, what's it called? The Bernstein effect. What's it called?
Yeah, the Mandela
the Bernstein effect happened, and to me, the Moffats were actually Hanson.
Canadian. We're gonna give them the Canadian treatment, but they're in the middle. If you liked boy bands, if that was your thing,
they played instruments.
I'm sure it's
right?
good.
Or were they like a straight up boy band?
I think they were straight up a boy band.
I swear to God, I remember Moffats totally different. It's that Bernstein effect. I swear to God. Oh yeah, we were talking about Prozzak before, so I guess just to quickly finish off on Prozzak to loop back quick. Yeah, no, their placement on there. I don't know if we intentionally left it there, but I think that's actually a really good placement for them.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, I needed to do dad duties, but yeah, Prozzak. Really impressionable as a kid. Cartoon band. I don't know if they're amazing, but they're not terrible. But I would definitely put them on the better side of things because of the nostalgia factor. And they were touring last year with Aqua, and I think that they know that they were a '90s one-hit sensation, and I think they knew they played right into that whole thing. I think it was very brilliant. Several people I know went and saw them and said the performance was great. So like, yeah, we'll leave it right there.
Yeah. Moving on, we have I forget exactly where they're from. I think they're like Quebec or Montreal, but alternative band Metric. Did you ever listen to any Metric or like them at all?
They have never been a band for me, but they've also never been a band that I've disliked. They're not a band if it comes on, or if someone goes, I need you to listen to this Metric song, I'm gonna listen to it because I still don't think it's bad. It's just, I don't listen to it.
I don't think they sound very Canadian necessarily. I think the vocalist is actually a really talented vocalist. I guess I haven't listened to enough of their music to really commit to them to being super good. I think the placement you have them is a good place. Okay, so the next band we are talking about here is, Great Big Sea.
Epitome of Canadian sensations. They're the roll aspect of rock and roll. They don't rock. They're a roll band. They're a Canadian Nova Scotian roll band. I would put them probably somewhere up here. No. Probably right beside Bare Naked Ladies.
Okay. Do you think? Oh, right into bad, eh? I don't think they're good. Don't get me wrong, but I find it interesting. I don't think it's music for me at all. Super corny. The lyrics ooze just like Canadianness to me. It's hard to explain how that happens in lyrics. And I mean, again, I made it very clear at the top of the video, we are not talking about like hardcore and punk bands because I genuinely don't think like they suffer from this. Like I don't think you would listen to a band like Misery Signals or Comeback Kid and be like, oh, that sounds Canadian, and I can immediately tell. Like I think they're just good hardcore bands. So I think that's different. But with Great Big Sea, like you can hear a song like The End of the World and be like, oh, like someone in Newfoundland wrote that song. I'm gonna agree with the placement. Yeah, again, I think like I get worried because I don't know enough to necessarily call something good or bad. But I think in my mind, this is something that makes sense. This is a placement I can see. And you said it was a Great Big Sea show you were at earlier, right?
No, a real big
fish. Okay. Well, hey, a real big fish would be in a Great Big Sea, so it's a common mistake. Here's a band I thought I liked a lot as a kid. Finger 11.
Formerly the Rainbow Butt
That's a
Monkeys.
good name.
Yeah, they should have stuck with that, but they got radio success, and the charts told them that was a terrible name, so you need to change that name. They are a Canadian-sounding band, and I would probably put them right there.
Yeah. They're a super, super corny band. I remember, like, as a kid, like, loving the song Paralyzer, and I think I heard it again in the last couple of years, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was just, like, so genuinely shocked, and I was stupid, and, like, it's like a weird Red Hot Chili Peppers knockoff song. It's really, really weird.
I don't think they're a good band. I think they're pretty Canadian sounding, though. What do you think?
I don't think they're, like, necessarily immediately identifiable as Canadian sounding. They're definitely bad. I think you should nudge them a little bit more to the right. They're pretty bad. Their name is like a dick, right? Is that what they're saying?
I always thought that they were fingering people. Like when you finger someone, it's the two fingers, 11.
Okay, we're never gonna make money on this channel. Good. Finally, some actual good stuff. Death from Above, 1979.
They're a good band. We both have mentioned that we saw them at the Red Square, an old venue in St. Catharines that is no longer there anymore. That, you know, considering how big this band is now, it's unbelievable to think that they were playing in a space like that. I am so lucky to see a thing like that. And the fact that they are just a two-piece kind of bass and guitar, you know, I gotta give them some props. I don't think they're very Canadian sounding, though. I would probably put them right beside Metric and a little bit better, because I've listened to them more.
Right, no, I think they're a lot better, actually. The first Death from Above album, the pink cover one, the overdriven bass and like what they were doing with their band as a two-piece at the time was like this like super like sexualized punky, like really fast. Like I really liked them.
Yeah. If you were to tell me though that they were Canadian, I would, you know, I maybe wouldn't believe it. I don't think they're very Canadian.
No,
sounding.
I think they're Canadian looking. I think they look like Montreal hipster dudes for sure. Hot Heat. Do you remember this band? I remember loving the song Bandages. I don't know, but I guess based on the one song, this is an informed podcast. Based on the one song I can remember, I feel like they're pretty decent. How's that?
Okay. Yeah, we can leave that there. Based on that one song, I don't remember it being bad. It was a radio hit, but they are definitely Canadian.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay, so moving on to Canadian legends, the Tragically Hip.
Oh man, the Tragically overrated.
Oh my god. This is a revelation I was not expecting. I fucking agree. Rest in peace to that guy or whatever. I fucking agree.
Gordon
Downey, rest in peace, King. You were obviously a massive impact on even a lot of the people I listen to in the local scene now. I remember when he passed away, like it felt like everyone I've ever met in my life was like, holy shit, like I love the Tragically Hip, and I just don't remember ever being exposed to them even really, except for that like Poet song. Is that's them, right?
Sure,
Don't
no.
tell me what the poets are doing.
But
I thought I was gonna have this moment where I brought them up, and you were just gonna be like, "Oh yeah, no, I love them. Me and my dad used to listen to them, yada yada yada." And I was just gonna let you place it, and I wouldn't even have to say a thing. And now we're both trapped in this controversial take that you decided to throw out there that I do fully agree with. I can't lie. I'm not gonna come on here and lie, but I mean, yeah.
that's how I feel about them. I'm gonna put them there.
Okay, so the next set of bands I think is grouped up pretty well. This is a bunch of stuff that we grew up with. Some notable stuff. Obviously, the first one being St. Catharines veterans Alexisonfire.
Yeah, what to say about this band? Obviously, I think they're a good band, or at least were in their prime.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fan of that new record. Do I think they're good or bad? Obviously, I'm going to think that they're good. They have some classic songs that I even play to on drums still. We've had Jesse, their old drummer, on the podcast, which was a pleasure having on. So I'm not going to say anything bad necessarily about the band in that respect. How Canadian do they sound? I don't think they sound Canadian at all. Maybe it's just because of the music they play.
Okay, so I think they sound more Canadian as their music goes on. I wonder if you agree with me. On the self-titled Alexisonfire album, did you find that Dallas Green was harder to understand than George?
At times
I always found that like I just for the life of me could never make out a word that Dallas Green was saying, and like obviously George was really hard to understand, but Dallas like man, he's come so far with his vocals, like it was just pure nonsense to me whenever he was singing those songs.
There's a lot to talk about this band. There's lots of Canadian lore, and especially a lot of our viewers on this channel will probably appreciate getting in depth with this band. But we got a lot of bands on this list, so I think we should just move right along.
I got you. Next one is our boys in Silverstein. Do you think Silverstein sounds Canadian?
I've never pinned them Canadian, but if you were to argue that they were, I would probably understand your argument. What do you think?
I don't think so. I don't think I would necessarily identify them as Canadian. I think it's more, like, not sonically. I think it's just more about actually being aware of them. I think they blend in terms of ambiguousness of origin, in terms of like most of the other post-hardcore bands out there. I don't think they sound distinctly Canadian in a good way. In terms of how good they are, You know what? Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna give it to them. The next band is one of my old favorites, Moneen.
Never been a big band, Moneen
Okay.
guy. But I've never disliked any of the stuff that I've heard in passing. Maybe it's just not for me. I've gone back and listened to it, and like I can appreciate it as good music. I might put them right like they're. I don't think they're very Canadian sound. I do think they're good. I'm being completely honest. I don't listen to them a lot, and they were never a band that I got into. But anytime that I've put them on in passing, to maybe like just jam them, I've never disliked the music that I've listened to.
Yeah, they were for me they were always like almost like a version of At the Drive-In that was like toned down enough for me to find a bit more compelling. There was a little less going on. No discredit to them, but I think we should move them a little to the right. I don't think yeah, I don't want to put them too close. I think Death from Above and Silverstein are, and Sum 41, especially in Alexis, I think Moneen's a little, not quite on the same tier. It's the Cancer Bats is next on the list.
Oh, of course. Fucking Scott Middleton was in this band. He had a kid himself, and things have gotten busy. He now records. Shout outs to Scott. He does recording. If you're ever in a local area, definitely go check him out. I love this band. I'm gonna probably put them high on the Canadian list because they have that southern twang about them, and I guess that's something that we've been consistently seeing in this list.
Yeah, I think Liam, his delivery has that sort of. There's a. I don't even know how to describe it. There's definitely like a little bit of a Canadian edge to the way he delivers anything, that same sort of twang and stuff. I remember hearing them when I first heard them described as like gasoline-soaked hardcore, and I think that's always been such like an apt way to describe that band. And yeah, Cancer Bats is a sick band. I think that's a great place for them. Moving on to The Boys Dead and Divine.
Yeah, solid band. You can't go wrong with this band. Always been a fan of them. I don't really think that they're Canadian sounding. I would probably put them.
I'd put them right on the border, I think.
Okay, yeah. You know what? I think I can agree with that. They do have something about him where his vocals, you can definitely tell there's some sort of Deftones influence in the way that he kind of delivers the stuff that he does. Matt Tobin. So I understand the argument that you would throw him right on the line.
Yeah, I think Dead and Divine was like a pretty consistent band. They only put out like a few records while they were around, but I think that they were good records. Moving on from then, man, this is a criminally underrated band in my opinion. Boys Night Out.
I love this band. I don't know if I would probably put them right near Dead and Divine, just because I don't think that they're very Canadian sounding. However, their tunes hold up so well. That Trainwreck record is such a just this awesome concept record, and that was, I think, the first time I ever got into the fact of a concept record. And this was just super artistic, emo. It was. I think the artists in the band are doing other things now, and I think they've very much moved on from this project. However, if they ever came back, if anyone in that band is watching this right now, you would explode. You would easily sell out many shows. I can guarantee that. Throw someone like Sleeper Set Sail on a tour, and you've got this like nostalgic explosion that I feel like everybody would flock to. That's just me, though.
Yeah, they were really good. And you were mentioning the concept album that they put out, Trainwreck. I liked the album Make Yourself Sick a lot, but to hear that sort of growth in a band in 2 years, to go from the type of songs that were on Make Yourself Sick, and actually their album in 2007, their self-titled they put out, which was like a more chilled out like rock record. That's actually my favorite record they ever put out. That's a really, really good album. It has a lot of really, really good just songs. It's just a really cool record. I think they're a band that, got better every album that they put out. And yeah, I'd be interested to see if any of the guys were doing anything now. So next up on the list, we have Jersey Shore Shitcore band, Abandon All Ships.
Jersey Shore shitcore. That's a great way to describe this band. This band.
Abandon all shits. Right, abandon all shits, Phil. Change it. Yeah, get him.
Yeah, this band is not for me. I'm gonna even go as far as to say that they weren't Canadian sounding at all because of how Guido and New Jersey sounding they wanted to be.
Yeah, their early songs, before, like, when they put out music before like the Jersey Shore wave that happened, when they decided to like heavily lean into that, their songs were like mixed better than how they ended up sounding out on like the release. Like, because after they did their disband thing, they signed with like a major producer who didn't know how to mix metalcore, and it came out like really like tinny and thin. And like, I remember very specifically, like, their biggest song was like this weird song where like during like the bridge, he's talking about how like we are like the herd and like he is the shepherd, and he's talking about God. And then he right after that does a mosh call where he says, "Put the South in your mouth and swallow." So he transitions from scripture to suck my dick. just an absolute, and like from what I heard, like I don't know if I'm wrong, sorry guys, but from what I heard, they were not the best of dudes. Fuck them. Anyways, so moving on, we are going to talk about Montreal deathcore juggernauts, Despised Icon.
We're gonna put this up there. I think they're a good band. I think they're hella Canadian with song titles like they have like full-blown French song titles. So yeah, they're Canadian as hell, and I'm gonna put up there with one of the greats, one of the goats of deathcore when all of that shit was booming.
Yeah.
What do you have to say?
Oh yeah, no, they like shamelessly breed through like 3 albums straight. Day of Mourning is like a deathcore classic for me. Like MVP, I think didn't age as well as some other songs, maybe. Oh my god, yeah, no, that song didn't age well at all. Hey, no. You know what though? Still a great band, still very musically proficient. Yeah, I think that's a good place for Despised Icon. I'm gonna try not to think about the fact that MVP exists anymore.
Despised Icon.
Despised Icon. The MVPs. So, less gross deathcore band, Blind Witness. I wouldn't even call them deathcore, more like super heavy metalcore.
I don't think that they're nearly as good as Despised Icon.
Yeah.
But they're definitely just as Canadian with the all very famous Tabarnak breakdown. I'm going to say that they're Canadian, but they also had a really good American traction that would maybe let's bring it up down maybe just a tinge because of that American cred.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really scream Tabernacle in a song without sounding Canadian, but Nightmare on Providence Street I think still goes pretty hard. That song in particular even. Yeah, and they're kind of goated for that Backstreet Boys cover. Like, that has aged beautifully in my opinion. That Backstreet Boys cover is forever gonna remain one of the goated, like, actually good. Like, there are so many metalcore covers now. Like, every song on earth has a metalcore cover, and they did that shit like back when it was a lot rarer, and it still has so much character to this day. So, but yeah, you can't scream Tabernacle without sounding Canadian. Sorry, fellas.
So you want it higher?
Yeah, I mean, they tabernacled. What am I supposed to do? Now for punk band turned prog metal band, Protest the Hero. You know, you can't even find their first album on Spotify now, the one with
These Colors Don't Run.
Yeah, like that first album was like, it sounded like such a good crossover of like punk but with like really like flashy guitars. And it seems like they want to move on from people even knowing about that album, and I will not allow it. Find Protest the Hero's first EP. It's really, really good.
Protest the Hero. They kind of had that propaganda kind of sound, and as soon as Kazaya came out, they were like this straight up like tech, kind of like the first wave of something that turns into something like Rings of Saturn nowadays, where like they're really super techy, and his fucking ecstatic vocals. I never loved this band, but I think it took me until because I is not my favorite record by them. I forget what records they have and in which order. What's the next one after that? That one, Fortress. That's the one that I really enjoyed, and I really think that they found their niche in that respect. And then once you kind of get into a band like Protest, you understand almost the discography. And it's funny that you bring up the Punk EP, because it makes sense that they don't want you to remember it because of the evolution of the band. But for anyone who hasn't heard that record, definitely go check it out, specifically the song These Colors Don't Run.
Yeah, Protest the Hero rules. Cool. Yeah, I think they belong in good, and I do think they sound more Canadian the more proggy they get. In my opinion. So moving on from Protest is this band I had to throw on the list. I don't know if people remember this band, but it's 3 Inches of Blood. Did you ever see 3 Inches of Blood live? You must have.
No, I don't think I ever saw them.
The singer would wear like full like gauntlets. You know who 3 Inches of Blood is, right? The
no,
Deadly Sinners, guys. The Deadly Sinners!
Wait, they're Canadian?
Yeah, that's a Canadian band.
Okay, well, for that matter, I'm going to throw them in the not-so-Canadian section. Where do you want to put them on the good to bad scale? Because I don't actually have much of an opinion of this band.
I really liked them as a kid. They're corny as fuck, but it's like medieval times corny, right? Like, I don't like... And the riffs were really good, and they had a dual vocalist thing going on, and the song Wickedtron is insane, and yeah, you know what? I think you should... No, get them out of bad. I think right there. Moving on, I had no idea this band was Canadian until you told me, but Kittie.
Yeah, dude. This is, I always thought that it was well known that they were a Canadian band, but you could tell me that they weren't Canadian, and I actually really like a lot of their discography. Obviously, their breakthrough song, Brackish, really got them popular. But like, they're still putting out records, and honestly, they kick ass. If you haven't listened to a latest Kittie record, I'm not gonna put them necessarily up next to some of the other bands that we have there. I would probably I'll leave them right where they were.
I was watching you drag it past Death from Above, and I was like, okay, I really need to listen to Kittie. Holy shit. I really only remember like Brackish and like my both our best friend growing up, shout out Rob Etherington, like just loving this band. So that was really my exposure to Kittie. But I didn't even know they were still active. They're like active.
Yeah,
oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, I'll check it out then. That's interesting. Moving on from Kittie, we have something a little less intense. And I actually didn't know these people were Canadian, but Tegan and Sara, which is crazy. It just shows that I never really listened to them.
Oh, you never listened to Tegan and Sara?
No, I was, but when Tegan and Sara was at its prime, I was so like I had such tunnel vision on heavy music. Like, if it wasn't heavy, I just didn't listen to it, period.
Yeah, that's fair. They had they got a lot of tunes that are, you know what? I'm gonna put them in the not so Canadian sounding band. Because it does feel kind of strange. It's always kind of strange when bands break through so hard out of the Canadian scene and they've got global hits, and I think Tegan and Sara is definitely in that category. I think they're pretty good. Actually, you know what? I'm probably going to bump them down over it because I think they're still making music and I haven't listened to it. I'm basing it off of old records. That's where I would put them on there.
So you wanted to talk about Sloan. So fire away, sir.
So Sloan is like this 90s legendary rock band, but I also feel like they're only known in Canada. They have a big 70s vibe influence. Even the people in the band look like they're straight from the 70s. I have this appreciation level for them. I've never gone out of my way to listen to this band. However, if someone were to ever play for them, there was one time I saw Wild Side cover The Good in Everyone or something, and it was such a fun cover. And I think after seeing someone like a hardcore band like Wild Side play a song like that, it just gave me this kind of new level of appreciation of this band. Again, wouldn't go out of my way to listen to them, but I'm gonna have to say that they're very Canadian, and I'm gonna put them on. I would probably put them right under actually Billy Talent, because I don't love them, but I don't hate them.
Right, neutral basically. Next, I genuinely had again no clue this band was Canadian, and I have listened to them in the past. Broken Social Scene.
I have zero opinion on this band because I've never even heard this band.
Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah, very like heady punk, I guess you would say. You know what I mean? Like, they've always appeared to me as like the thinking person sort of like punk band. So I think that's how a lot of people think about them. Definitely like hipster bait and stuff like that. But there's a lot of substance to their music. I've dipped in and out of their music as they've went. They've always remained, a somewhat interesting punk band to me. And I had no clue they were Canadian, like literally until making this list. So they definitely don't sound Canadian. And yeah, I'd leave them. You know what? I'd leave them in the neutral zone too. I don't think I've listened to enough of their discography to make like a big snap decision on it. But the stuff that I've exposed myself to, as far as I remember really liking it. So do you remember Down with Webster?
How could you not forget a band like Down with Webster?
How many members were there?
They were all there was like 9 of them. They were like the Slipknot of rap.
Yeah, Slipknot of rap. Man, 3-6 Mafia and like Bone Thugs and Harmony and oh my god. Down with Webster is the Slipknot of rap.
I always remember there was only ever one song I liked by this band, and it was from so they had a gimmick. There was drums, there was guitars, and then there was one guy on stage who actually didn't have any purpose in any song. And he just would he would just wear koala bear backpacks. But he had that one song, 10, and it was just a song where he was just rapping over a beat. And that's the only song that I actually still enjoyed by them. Still enough not to give them a good rating. I would probably... They have a Canadian edge to them.
They're Canadian.
Especially when they started getting, like, the radio rock.
No, they went radio rock, like, really quickly. I think they, like, straight up, like, dropped Cap as soon as that happened, too. Like, they were like, you're just, like, you're not eating off. I'm sorry. Like, so you can move them you can move them a lot closer to that. They are some of the corniest rap I think I've ever heard. It's brutal. I can't believe we allowed them. Yeah, I can't believe that happened. Next up is, do you remember the rapper Classified?
Oh my god. Yes, I do actually, and I still listen to Classified because I'm a huge fan of Classified. I'm gonna put, in my personal opinion, I've seen him live several times. I still think he is making great music. He's always been a self-producer. Mm-hmm. He self-produces a lot of things himself. He brings his friends on tour. His brother is in his band. I love everything about Classified. He's up there on the Canadian list though, because he's got the song like "Oh Canada," and there's another song, "The Maritimes." Like he's up there with like Great Big Sea. Like he is very Canadian. We're gonna overlap some text here. He's up there with Despised Icon.
Yeah, I think I went through a Classified stage, but it was such a long time ago that I can't really like remember it now. I remember he had these specific songs that were called like the Beat Sale or something like that, and essentially what it would be was like beats that he had produced that he wasn't going to use on his album, and it would like just be him like doing like little rap parts over them that were like very out of character for him that were really good. I think he definitely like that Canada song specifically, like it's super corny. Like I appreciate what he's doing, but oh my god, dude. But yeah, I think Classified is an overall net positive for Canada. I think he's pretty good. I think it's hard to be that Canadian sounding as a rapper and not have it sound absolutely atrocious. So the fact that he can be so openly Canadian and not have it be like a total corn fest is, props to him.
I will knock him down a couple points for the Canadian song and the Maritime. I don't know if you've listened to the Maritime song. It's all about being out there, and it's like straight up got like bagpipes and fucking like accordions.
The album that "Oh Canada" is on also has a song called "Is Anybody Listening," which I remember liking a lot. And I think that actual album itself that's on was a really, really good, self-explanatory, I think it's called. I don't even remember it now necessarily, but like on that album, it'll be like you could skip to track 5 or skip to track 9 to get it up on fire. Oh my! Okay, you gotta slide him a little bit more to the right. You did this. You did this to Classified, not me. I didn't know he did that. Oh no, buddy. Okay, sorry. New information. Getting into rap trio. Wasn't they a trio? Was Mocha only part of the Swollen Members, guys? Holy shit, what a dumb name.
Mocha only was just on every
just on Edge, right? Just he just carried them. I don't know if that's true. I know Madchild's still like heavily involved in doing music and actually like performs down here all the time. I think he's performing soon actually, but man, Swollen Members is a corny ass rap group, man. Peace and love, like, oh my god.
Is the Swollen Members mean you're nuts?
It's like you got like you got like it's either you're nuts or you're bonger. You know what I mean? It's a stupid name. I remember me and again shout out Rob Etherington just playing the song Lady Venom over and over, and I think we'd even do shit where I'm gonna be Madchild and you be the other guy, and like it's like I went through like a weird Swollen Members vibe, in and out real quick as a kid.
I'm gonna leave it more on the bad side.
Yeah, that's great. So the next one, we can't be from around here without talking about Rush.
Rush is a huge band for. I'm gonna sound total. I was never a big Rush fan.
Yeah.
But they were also a band that I could appreciate. They're a friggin' trio, which is crazy that they've made a sound with just the three of them. Geddy Lee playing bass and keys when he's not doing it. I have this level of appreciation for them. I do think that they sound Canadian. I would probably put them right in the neutral zone as far as good or bad, because I don't love them, don't hate them.
Geddy Lee sings like a South Park character to me. Like he sounds like a South Park character, straight up. I think everyone in Rush is so like talented. Obviously, like everyone in that band is so crazy, and like I've heard like things get put on that are like honestly like mind blowing and stuff. But yeah, I never went through like a Rush stage or anything like that, so it's hard for me to really speak. But yeah, they are like super, super, super Canadian sounding to me. Like.
We'll give them a little bit of a smudge for being good because they are a trio and we can respect that. That's as much as we do know as far as being an in-depth fans as them, or not really being in-depth fans. But yeah, very Canadian like sounding.
Pop punk princess Avril Lavigne. So I'm having a little trouble with Avril Lavigne, and it's the revisionist ass history that's going on with her. She had like one pop punk song, and then she's like, I've always been a pop punk artist. And she comes out with her new album, and she's wearing like a ballerina outfit or something. Like, I don't remember her. She was like an alt, like she had like a bunch of pop songs, didn't she?
She had pop songs. She had massive country influence. Have you heard of the massive conspiracy behind? Avril Lavigne?
She's dead, and it's like a fake Avril.
Yeah. Yeah, people have said that there's people actually have the name of the person who I can't remember. They're like, Catherine is the real Avril. Like, it's crazy. And actually, it didn't dawn on me till the other day that her name is Avril.
I don't know. How good are you putting her? What's going on? Let's slow down. What are you doing? Where's Avril going? Do you think Avril's really good? Is there an argument to be had? You're just like sliding over.
No,
you're like, yeah. She had it. Someone called her pop punk, and she grabbed onto that, and she's holding on for dear life before everyone realizes that she's like just like a 40-year-old lady wearing like a tutu.
Did you know that Avril is dating Travis Scott right now, I think.
What are you talking? Give me, stop it. What the fuck are you talking about? That can't be the right name. Travis Scott. Oh my god, dude. Just one sec. I'm gonna fucking...
No, she's dating she's dating someone. Who's she dating?
And Tyga.
She's seeing someone.
She's seeing Tyga. It's still... Oh my god, Travis Scott. Tyga's still kind of strange, but I don't know. Travis Scott just it'd be so weird to me.
She also was married to Chad fucking Kroger.
Yeah,
from
man.
Nickelback.
Yeah, she really is. Man, speaking... Oh, they're... Okay.
Yeah.
They're coming.
Let's throw them up next.
Yeah, had no clue this band was Canadian, because to me they sound like the most like beer drinking American good old boy sort of like music.
I love Nickelback.
Right. No, that's fine. Like it's so cliche to hate on Nickelback, and I'm not going to sit here and be like their songs are stupid. They are, but like it's like I'm not going to try to make like a whole bit about how bad Nickelback is. I think that's fucking song's been sung, but the lyric. But you know what? When I found out they were Canadian, like Photograph suddenly made more sense to me.
They have a song about Dimebag Darrell dying.
I know, it's the most disrespectful shit. Like, I don't... Why? We stepped up to the plate. We did. They're like, and we sampled his solo. Never again. But still very, like, good old boy and country. Like, I was genuinely shocked. I thought they were from, like, fucking, like, Nebraska or, like, Ohio or something. Yeah, next up on the list is... Neil Young. Have you listened to any Neil Young, or are we kind of dicking around here?
I didn't know Neil Young was Canadian.
Okay. Yeah, me neither, but here we are. I found his name, so I added him to the list in case you had any context. I barely know anything about Neil Young. I can't lie.
You know what? I'm going to tell you that I've listened to only of the songs that I was subjected listening to while playing GTA San Andreas on the radio. So, no, not a big fan. But I'm going to put them in the neutral zone because I don't necessarily think Neil Young is bad. But I'm going to put him in the not so Canadian because I had no fucking clue he was Canadian.
Yeah, no, me neither. I googled like top like the most famous Canadian artists of all time, and like the number one was Neil Young, and I was like, oh, shit, okay,
oh shit,
cool, well, good for him. Nickelback's cousins, who I'm double surprised are not American or in fact Canadian, is Theory of a Deadman, who have like songs about states, straight up American states.
Do not think this band is very good.
No.
I would put them there because I also didn't know if they were Canadian either. I think that I thought it, like if you told me that they were Canadian, I'd be like, yeah, okay, sure. But yeah, that's surprising to me.
Yeah, again, sort of the same thing with Nickelback, right? You get that sort of like good old boy, like at the barbecue drinking a beer. You're in like Arkansas
Pit
or
Vipers.
Arkansas, or however you say that place. Sorry, guys. And you're listening to some Theory of a Deadman. You know what I mean? That way of singing too. It's weird because it should be Canadian, but they're ripping off Creed.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's different.
It's music for people who have like naked chicks on their fucking truck mud flaps.
Yeah, it's music for guys who have truck nuts on their truck. And we're gonna finish up strong here. The Weeknd.
Wow. What an artist.
Yeah, he's like the number one streamed artist right now, right? Of like on Spotify, I believe. I think he's literally number one. I'll put on screen if he's a different number, but I believe he's literally the most played artist right now. Well deserved in my opinion. I don't know if you're a fan of him, but I've been a fan of The Weeknd for a really long time.
I would argue, actually, maybe not Canadian, but he's definitely not Canadian.
He doesn't sound Canadian to me. He just sounds like a real good singer.
Oh, and yes, sorry, to add up to what you were saying, yes, I love this, the Weeknd, House of Balloons. There's so many good records. Actually, one of my favorite things, since we're talking about the Weeknd, in my opinion, had one of the most iconic and will have the only legendary NFL halftime show that will ever happen, because it happened at the peak of COVID. I don't know if you ever saw this, but it was like, instead, most NFL halftime shows have some sort of extravaganza where there's like, lots of people on the field doing this thing, but because COVID was a thing, they had to avoid all the personal distances. So he did like a live music video where he would like choreograph himself going into different rooms and stuff. And in my opinion, that is the most unforgettable NFL halftime show that will ever happen because of that reason. He's got a voice like Michael Jackson. Let's not deny.
Yeah, no, I think he truly is in like that category of like being like the next Michael Jackson. I genuinely think that he's just he's a phenomenal artist with a really, really like consistent catalog. I remember when the news that he was the #1 artist broke, like comments everywhere were just like, oh, he's so overrated, he's so overrated, he's so overrated. Honestly, of all the like pop artists out there right now, I think it's totally respectable that he's #1. I think he's an extremely talented person, and I think a lot of trash could end up #1, and for it to be The Weeknd is totally respectable. So, moving on, someone who's pretty divisive, Drake.
How could you not say that he's Canadian? He is the sixth god.
Yeah, he definitely wears it on his sleeve. Now, I will say, I don't think he sonically sounds Canadian, which is the nicest thing I'll ever say about Drake. A lot of people even give him shit. They're like, oh, you can tell he's Canadian because he's a soft ass rapper and shit like that. Nah, it's so dumb. Like, I hate that. I don't think he sonically sounds Canadian as much as he just really reps Toronto. But really for his own ends. But yeah.
Do you like him? Are you a fan? I got into for a long time, I was a big anti-Drake fan, and then eventually, I think it was over COVID. I mean, we were all very upset, so I had to listen to some Sad Boy stuff, and I think I really got into a couple of his records, and I just kind of got it. Like, I got the thing he was going for, so I understand. Actually, no, I don't understand why people think he's the greatest rapper of all time. I don't think that's the case, but I understand why people like him.
Yeah, he's I've struggled to like a lot of his more recent releases, which I know is like a cliche thing to say. I remember when he was first coming up. I've been a Lil Wayne fan for like forever. Like, I love Lil Wayne. And so when Drake first even had like his first like tape or EP out, it was called So Far Gone. Like, I loved that, and I was rooting for this guy really early on. And if you're reading this, it's too late. It has like a bunch of absolute classics on it. I really like when Drake features on other people's songs, but I think when he's the one, I feel like when he's the one fully in control of a project, he just kind of, at this point in his career, I feel like he just kind of meanders about. He isn't, he's just not hungry the way he used to be. So I don't think he has to put much effort in anymore, quite frankly, and I don't think he is. So I think he has a lot of good old music, but I think it's been years since he really sounded hungry on the mic. So
Sicko Mode would not be the same without him, but yeah, without his personal stuff is he meanders through it. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, I agree. There's a song with him and Young Thug called Bubbly, which is like one of my favorite Young Thug songs. Like, he can show up on a song and like match someone else's cadence and vibe and come in with his own words and make it work really well, but like he constantly feels the need to put out these like 20 song albums, and like there's so much load, like I don't know. We'll get into him another time, but,
his latest record was pretty bad. Let's kind of bump that over.
Yeah, he's his last couple, I think some people like Certified Lover Boy. I think that had some redeeming qualities. Actually, his last project with 21 Savage wasn't that bad. There were some pretty decent songs on there. And also, The Birth of...
We'll put him right on the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I don't want to. I think it's so cliche to come on here and hate Drake. I think everyone hates Drake online, so I'm gonna come on here and be totally neutral about Drake. This is a brave new stance we're taking here. Okay, and finally, the world's most hated person, Justin Bieber. A person who to this day is still referenced by dudes in their 50s sitting in their truck wearing their Oakleys, will pull up a picture of this kid when he was 14 and talk about how dumb his hair looks.
Now, I do think he is very Canadian. I even think he's Canadian in the cadence of his singing. I've never been a big fan of Justice Bieber. Mm-hmm. But I will put him there on our list here because he's not super Canadian sounding, but it's just enough. But maybe, actually, you know what? We'll kind of do it like that. I know his music. There's that one record that Skrillex produced that's really popular, and I think Haley's played it for me, and it's not terrible, but I've never put it on to listen to it, so I'm going to leave it where it is.
Yeah, he had one song I liked a long time ago. That song, Sorry. That's a good song. It's a bop. I don't know how much he even had to do with like writing it, but song's a bop.
That was the Skrillex record.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, I genuinely like that song. There have been a couple songs he's put out. One of his albums he had like a really, really cringy like Martin Luther King speech, but he like remixed Martin Luther King. Or not remixed him, but like so at the point where Martin Luther King says justice, he cuts it in a way where it sounds like Martin Luther King goes, Justin. If we can get away with it, I'll put it up. I'll put the audio up so people can hear it. It's pretty tasteless, but again, Justice Bieber is one of the like pinnacle people to know. To be like, I hate that guy. So I mean, I don't want to come on here and rant and rave about old Justice. He's fine. He's got like what's that disease he has? Something insane, right? Like.
Oh, I don't know.
What is it called? Give me 1 sec. If you didn't know he had this is going to blow your mind. This is like the saddest genuine thing. 1 sec.
Every time a full moon happens, he turns into a beaver?
Yeah, it's tragic. And he gnaws wood, and it's really, really bad for his teeth. So the dental bills have been driving his family crazy. No, he has Ramsay Hunt syndrome, which causes facial paralysis, and Lyme disease.
Oh, no. Oh, God.
Yeah, he has Lyme disease, my guy. Like, that's just like...
You don't get rid of that.
No, yeah, so, I don't know. Sorry. That sucks, Justin. I'm sorry that happened to you. But,
all right.
Yeah, that's it. The list, I think it looks good. I don't think we've done much to really identify what sounding Canadian is other than singing kind of weird. But, I think that's all I meant. What is this, an hour and a half? I think that's all I meant. All right, guys, so that's the tier list. I don't know if you agree with anything we had to say there. Do Canadian people sing weird? I think so. Do you think so? We're going to get into our recommendations quickly for this week. This is where we just kind of tell you about a record that exists. Maybe something, that's more of a hidden gem, or I don't know, just something maybe we've been listening to lately. What's your recommendation?
So I was listening to The Chariot this week, and they have such an undefeatable discography. But one record that I think is super special and untouchable is One Wing. Almost every single song has a different aspect to the song, and it takes you all the way to the end of that record, and it leaves you wanting more. If you haven't listened to the band The Chariot, they are a very abrasive band. Please check out One Wing. And if you have listened to them, tell us what you think.
My recommendation for this week, I got to recommend an album. I don't know if you've listened to this album personally. This album is by Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes, and it's actually the most recent album they put out. It's called Sticky. Have you listened to it?
No, I haven't. I'm only familiar with the debut.
Amazing. So I'm going to use you as a jumping off point to sell this album. Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes to me have always been a band that I desperately tried to get into, and they've always just been a little too on the artsy side for me to really be able to sink my teeth into them. They put out an album, Sticky, that is pure front to back just punk songs. There's no super weird flashing, like they're not doing super artsy, flashy stuff. There's not even really that much screaming or anything like that at all. No breakdowns or anything. It's like pure UK punk. Like they have a song called Go Get a Tattoo, which is just about getting a tattoo. The song Bang Bang is an absolute banger. Cupid's Arrow, Rat Race, the song Sticky itself, which is just an absolute punk banger. This album, if you like fast, aggressive, catchy punk, and you like when someone has that when like a UK singer really leans into it, the way he did in those early Gallo days, where he just sounded gross on the mic. Like I feel like so many UK singers like try to polish themselves to sound American when they sing, and he just leans into that accent so much on this record. It's an absolute banger. So check out Sticky by Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes.
Okay, well, I think that should do it. What do you think about our Canadian selection? Do you think we're out to lunch? Do you think we're right about it? What do you think about our opinion about Canadian singing? Look at it all down below in the comments. For people in the area of the GTA or Niagara or in that sort of area, I suppose you could say, Chef, definitely follow at Ontario X Hardcore on Instagram or at Ontario Metal for all sorts of local metal shows that have come up. There are too many for us to plug in one moment, but they are doing a great job at doing elevating the scene and kind of just doing what we're doing here. Shout outs to, Rob Reed and his channel. He's also part of that. So yeah, definitely go check that out. Like, subscribe, let us know what you think. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for watching the video, guys, and have a good one.